Well, folks, we made it. It's election day. And like I've said so many times, this is unlike any election that I've ever seen. I woke up this morning and I got to thinking about things. And, I don't know that we've ever rolled into an election as a country so divided with the threats of chaos hanging over our heads. But here we are. I don't hardly go over to my personal Facebook account anymore because I've still got some family and friends on there that I love and care about. And I don't spend a whole lot of time over there, but I did yesterday evening and saw some memes and some comments that was pretty depressing coming from people I love. By the same token, I'm sure they look over at my videos from time to time and they're disappointed in the things that I'm saying. But when it comes to that division, I put the blame on Donald Trump. And I know there's a lot of people out there that would disagree with me, but I really believe that it's him that has sown the seeds of distrust in our system, in our government, in our democracy. I think it's him that has turned the temperature up in the room. It's him that's created the chaos, and I think that he's done that because that's the only shot in hell that he has of winning. I've never in my lifetime seen a guy go out there and go out of his way to push people away from it. I mean, if I was a conspiracy theorist at this point in the game, I would almost think he was throwing the fight, because he is just doubling down and quadrupling down on the hatred and the cruel rhetoric and the threats. He's not doing anything to clean up his image. We've saw so many people in the past run for an office, make a mistake along the way, spend the rest of the campaign cleaning up their image, and sometimes they couldn't no matter what they did. But Trump just keeps going for it. Every time I come across a new clip of him or J.D. Vance, who's out there doing his best Dollar General impression of Trump, I see that and I say, really? They let a comedian go out there and make a bunch of racist jokes in Madison Square Garden. They let him call Puerto Ricans garbage in Madison Square Garden. And then J.D. Vance decides to make his closing arguments and call Kamala Harris trash. But you know what you're not going to see? You're not going to see me put on a trash bag. You're not going to see Kamala up and go get a garbage truck and put her name on it and stand there with a bad makeup job and, do a bunch of hand gestures in front of it. We've never seen anything like this. We've never seen anything that even comes close in no world. And I don't know that we ever will again. I think there'll be people who will come along and they'll try to imitate Donald Trump, but I don't think they will be able to make it work. For whatever reason, this ridiculous shtick works for him. It draws a crowd. It draws his crowd. But no matter what happens tonight, Donald Trump is on the wrong side of history in my mind, and so are his supporters. And I'm not trying to drive division any further, but I'm just trying to point out the obvious, folks. I'm trying to point to the obvious and call it out for what it is, because I don't think we can ever back down. And I've had people say to me, what are you going to do, worst case scenario, if we have to endure it again? Well, I'm going to be sitting right here. As long as I have a platform, I'm going to be sitting here calling it out. I'm going to be sitting here speaking up, and I'm not going quietly. I've had people say, well, what if Kamala wins and Trump ain't around anymore? What are you going to talk about then? Trump is clickbait. You put Trump on a thumbnail, people will look at it. Listen, we're going to be talking about Trump for years to come, because we're going to have to be rebuilding, and we're going to have to be fixing the damage that he caused to everyone's faith in our system, and the damage that he's already caused to democracy. So it's not going to end today. And I think that's the whole point of why I wanted to make this video. No matter what happens, it doesn't end today. It doesn't stop. Democracy never goes away. It's not something that we can ever let it slip. We can never let that democracy slip away. We have to keep our eye on the ball, and we have to realize, yeah, we may kick the can down the road tonight. We may come out and go, hey, we did it. We kicked it down the road. But do you think Project 2025 is going to go away? No, it's just going to be Project 2028, and they're going to come back. They're not going anywhere. These people aren't the kind of people that's going to say, oh, wait, our ideas are dated. Oh, wait, our ideas are out of style. Oh, wait, they're not just going to suddenly say, oh, you guys want control over your own bodies, and you ladies want control over your own bodies, and you guys over here want your rights. Okay, well, we'll leave you alone. They're not going to do that. They're going to find a way to double down. They're going to find someone even slicker talking than Trump. They're probably going to try to rebrand as something that'll make people fall for it and think they're reasonable, and we can't do that. We have to keep focused at all times. And I really believe that we're going to see a decisive Kamala Harris victory. But that doesn't mean that we get complacent. That doesn't mean we take our eye off the ball. That doesn't mean we stop what we're doing. And either way you slice it, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to be sitting here either A, continuing to speak out against Donald Trump because I do believe he is the greatest threat to democracy, or B, I'm going to be sitting here every day talking about what Kamala Harris has going on in this country. And I know there's going to be people out there that's going to be coming for her and trying to, stop every ounce of progress she makes. And there's going to be people coming out with even more extreme agendas. I'm not trying to freak anyone out when I say this, but let's just be realistic. There was a time that Richard Nixon looked like one of the greatest threats to America. And Hunter S. Thompson, who's one of my heroes, buy the ticket, take the ride. Hunter S. Thompson is one of my heroes. He talked about Nixon, and he said there's going to come a day that someone will come along and they'll make Nixon look like a liberal. Years later, when he was writing about George W. Bush, he remembered what he said about Nixon, and he referenced it. And we went from Nixon to George W. Bush. When George W. Bush left, I thought, well, surely no one could ever come along and top that. But I also remembered Hunter S. Thompson. And I was like, he said that he never thought he would see anyone top Nixon, and he did. And I thought, we could very well see it. Someone top W. And we did. We saw Donald Trump make us miss W. We saw Donald Trump make us all of a sudden be on the same side voting with Dick Cheney. What the hell happened? And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here, but there could come a day when someone comes along and makes Donald Trump look like the lesser of two evils, or makes Donald Trump look like he was on the side of democracy, because that's what extremists do. They just keep getting more and more extreme as time goes on. And so what we have to do is always be ready to stand up and fight against extremism. We have to always be willing to stand up and fight for women and their equal rights, their rights to have control over their own bodies. We have to stand up for our black Americans and people coming across the border, and people from all walks of life that just wants a better way. Where we have to come together for everybody, and not just people that looks like us, not just people that has my accent. I'm not interested in living in a world where everyone has my color skin and my accent, and everyone goes to the same church I do, and everyone votes for the same person I do. I don't have that desire. I want to meet people from all walks of life, and I want everybody from all walks of life to not have a handout, but to have a better hand to play in this world. And I feel like that's what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz is going to bring to the table. They're going to bring a better hand for everyone to play. And so regardless of the outcome, we will always be pro-democracy. And here at the Midas Touch Network, we will always stand on the side of democracy. It's not about Republican versus Democrat. It's not about left versus right. It's not about atheists versus Christians. None of those things. It's about standing on the side with American democracy. And everybody, vote your conscience. Get out there, vote, but vote on the side of democracy. Vote to vote another day. The idea that we're sitting here wondering, will that be the last time I cast a vote? We should have never came to that point in American history. And I know there will be people that will see this video and say, well, you put too much of the blame on Donald Trump. No, I haven't put enough. As long as there's breath in my lungs and I have a platform, I will always be pointing out what that guy did and anything he continues to do. Because just because he was able to convince a bunch of stupid people to fall for it, don't mean I'm stupid, and don't mean we have to fall for it either. We have sat back and watched this guy run the dumbest campaign of all time. And there's people out there that thinks that makes him fit. There's people out there posting things like, oh, no matter how much you guys hate him, she's still not qualified. And I'm like, really? You really would post that? In what world does that make sense? How was Donald Trump ever qualified? And how the hell is Kamala Harris not? It's a shame that we live in a world where women have to go out of their way to always explain themselves and always prove they're qualified. And someone can go out there and run the dumbest, most hateful, cruel, bigoted, racist campaign they ever could, doing nothing but stirring chaos, and somehow people think they're the voice of reason. That is a screwed up world to live in. It truly is. But no matter what happens, we're going to keep standing on the side of democracy. No matter what happens, we're going to keep fighting the good fight, because that's what we're here to do. And I appreciate all of you so much for coming along on the ride with me. I'll probably be going live a little bit later tonight. Coach D may stop by and join in, may have some other friends join in if they want to, and we're going to get through it. Everything's going to be all right. So you guys hang in there, and let's always stand on the side of democracy no matter what.